Okay, so let's say you ask and they want you to fill out a records request. I had a comment on the break where apparently agencies are demanding you to submit a written records request, even though a verbal one counts. And maybe they even have a form for you to fill out. You know, by law, the oral one's supposed to count. Although, if they say you gotta do a written request, that's why you want to have that form. Just pull out the form, right? And then you go, here you go. Because I think having it in writing is useful to start that paper trail. Do it by email, and get a response so you can track right away whether they got it. Call them up if they didn't respond to your email. Make sure that they got the response, so they can't say later, "Oh, we never got that. Must not come through the internet." So always make sure. Now there are different letters you can do. There are 3 in your handouts. One's friendly, one's neutral, and one's mean. And the friendly one I created based on theories in psychology. I spent a lot of time on this letter. And I put things in there like, I want to thank you in advance for your time in helping me, blah, blah, blah. In survey research, that increases response rate by about 5%. So we use this in our science, in surveys, to get people to respond to surveys. I sprinkled about a half dozen of these little Jedi mind tricks all throughout that letter. You will give me the record, you know. And we find it's useful in survey research. The neutral version is available to Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press website. It's an automated letter generator, and you just put some info in and get it. And my guess is the Coalition has a letter online too. The third one is the mean version that the Student Press Law Center puts online. And it's the one that's on the screen. And it's probably similar to your guys as a coalition. Does the coalition have kind of this more legalistic one?
Well, we have a little box that you can check that says, do you want to threaten litigation if you don't comply, and you check that.
Right, because notice the graph toward the end.
Yeah.
You know, please be advised that I'm prepared to pursue whatever legal remedy necessary to obtain access to the press and records. You know, the willful violation of the records law can result in a word of court costs and reasonable attorney fees. Mofo. You know, that's basically it's a little That's what it said. That's how they interpret it. That's how they interpret it. They're thinking, dang, son of a baby. And this letter, by the way, is right here on the website. It's really, oh wait, this is the Reporters Committee. Sorry, SPLC. This is the SPL, Student Press Law Center, which, if you cover schools, is a vital resource for you. And it's really easy to do. All you do is put in your name, you know, and your address and all that. And, you know, a copy of a bunch of records, you know, whatever you want. You put in your state. In this case, it's Virginia. You put in mayor, you know, whoever, and fee limit if you want. Then you just punch this button, create letter, nothing else. Copy and paste it into a Word file, and you have your letter. And it cites Virginia code, and has all the little thing, 5 working days, and etc. Pretty slick. And it has the threat. Now, I'm sure there are different situations where you use different letters. It's situational based on who you know and your relationship. But all things being equal, who thinks a friendly letter would work best? Show of hands. Okay. How about the neutral letter? How about the mean letter? We have 1, 2 for the mean letter. Why would you say the mean letter?
Gets people to move.
Gets people to move. Well, I was curious, so I did the experiment. I was working with 2 journalists. One wanted all the use of force records from all police agencies in Arizona, 110 of them. One wanted all the superintendent contracts of all the school districts, 220 of those in Arizona. So I offered to mail out the letters if they recorded it. I sent a third randomly. A third got the friendly letter, a third got the neutral letter, a third got me. There was one letter that worked really well. It worked better than the other 2 by far. Fastest response. The most people responded to this letter. and it had the most records came in. So it was the mean one. The mean one. Now, I didn't expect that, because I always thought you attract more flies with honey than vinegar, right? And so I was trying to figure out what's going on here. Why would that work? And I noticed all the responses to the mean letter, most of them all came from the attorneys and the chiefs and the superintendents. So the clerks got the threatening letter, said, well, this is above my pay grade. Yeah. Send it up to that. And the attorney saw it and said, well, it's disclosable. The other letters were equally the same. The friendly and the neutral one were identical. Now there was one difference, other difference to note. Notice that 80% of the responses to the friendly letter, they volunteered to email the records for free. Just say, oh, here, we'll just slip it off in email for you. Whereas only 5% of the responses to the neutral and threatening letter offered to do that. So what we learned from it is, A, threatening works. Fear and threats are effective on people. So if you want to get the job done, that does the job pretty good. But we also learned that if you're nice, people will probably bend over backwards to help you, those who will respond to the niceness. So maybe we start out nice, and those who will respond favorably to nice will bend over backwards for us. Then if we get those who aren't nice to us, we come at them, and boom, and maybe make them comply. I don't know. It's just, I'm still doing research on this, but it's interesting how people think.
I use that last letter you had, but I just take out the bottom part.
Yeah, and that's what I used to suggest to everybody, is take out the threatening part, and you know, I don't know, I think that's the key to the letter, really, but I would never threaten litigation unless I was prepared to follow. Idle threats, I don't play, because people catch on to that pretty quick.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So in this neat letter that you had, the second to last paragraph says, if you choose to deny this request, please provide a written explanation. So I was just curious, because, you know, the first one is kind of saying, like, I'm assuming you're going to give this to me, like, we're so nice, and I was just curious why you would put that in there if you choose to deny that. Isn't that going to imply that there's an option to deny it?
Well, that's in the form letter, and they certainly do have an option to deny it. I mean, it may be exempt by law. I could be wrong. So, but my point, the point of that letter, I think, is that if they do deny it, they need to cite in writing the statute that allows them to do that, which I believe is Virginia law too. So it's kind of a reminder. You can't just say no.
There's not really a choice, right? It's like, if
No, well,
according to the law.
Well, if you're right, if you know, no, but see, they might want to deny you, and they might want to cite an exemption. Because, you know, there are gray areas where we argue over things, and they may, you know, that may be a legitimate area of disagreement. You may think it should be public, and they may interpret an exemption to say it's secret. So if they do deny you, they need to say in writing which exemption they're citing. But that's a good point. I mean, and so you wonder, so over the past 2 years, the prevalence of times I've been denied records has it changed just your perceptions? Do you think you've been denied more, less, or the same? Kind of your perception. All right, let's see what we got here. So it doesn't apply, and a lot of people basically stayed the same, maybe increased a little bit. Yeah, throughout the country, I've seen people not really notice a huge increase, probably more increase here than I've seen in other groups. I'm not sure at the local, state level we've seen as much in secrecy wholesale as we have at the federal level. At the federal level, clearly we've seen an increased pattern in denials, but I don't know, the local, state, a little bit it looks like. Interesting. And the reality is we're going to be denied records illegally. When we go and ask for records, they're going to tell us no when they're not supposed to. I looked at access.